Good morning. We now call this city council meeting to order. We ask as if you have a cell phone, at this time, if you'd be so kind to place it on silent, mute, or off, it would be greatly appreciated. At this time, we'll be led in prayer by Madam Clerk, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
O God of might, wisdom and justice, through whom authority is rightly administered, laws enacted and judgment decreed, assist us, we beseech thee, that this city council may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to thy people over whom we preside. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams.
Here.
West.
Present.
Roots. Present. Mayor Kirkland.
Present. Move for the approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Roots.
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes. At this time, we open up the microphone for public comments on the agenda items only. If you have public comments on the agenda items only, we ask that you go to the podium, state your name, address, and concern. And we also ask that you would keep your comments to 3 minutes as usual.
I'd like to say good morning to Mayor and Council and to all the residents of the city of Chester.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Howard Strand. I am the executive manager of Chester Stormwater Authority.
Dr. Strand,
I can.
use your preacher's voice.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Howard Strand. I'm the executive manager of the Chester Stormwater Authority, city of Chester, and I'll try to stay within the time allotted to me. In 2016, we were asked to establish the Stormwater Authority on behalf of the city of Chester. 2017, we launched. We went to every community in the city of Chester. It was transparent. We made promises to the community about what we were going to do. We educated the community on the responsibility of residents to deal with stormwater-related issues, and that as a result of us speaking to the community, we were able to also get successful support from the EPA, the state of Pennsylvania, to meet a very crucial need in the city of Chester. As you know, the state law says that when a community cannot meet a crucial need, it has the authority to establish a municipal authority to meet that need. That authority becomes separate from the city, has autonomy and answers to the state Community and Economic Development Commission, so that there won't be any malfeasance or any unfair play in the operation of the authority finances. We have successfully been doing this for the past 6 years. We meet all our financial obligations on a regular basis. Our credit rating is second to none. Our audits are up to date, and we have had a tremendous response to Chester residents being hired and operating and serving our community. Everything we do for the city of Chester. Every dime that we brought in has went into the infrastructure of the city of Chester to deal with the issues that relate to flooding and the problems that existed prior to us taking over the Stormwater Authority. Also reducing the amount of poison that goes into the Delaware River and the Chester Creek and Ridley Creek, which is a crucial issue because of the fact that many communities downstream get their drinking water from the Delaware River, and that's unknown to a lot of people. However, we are financially strapped because of the fact that we have 5 tranches that total $32 million that we are now facing maturity, and we're happy to pay those tranches off And we are also dealing with a situation where we're only collecting 66% of the projected revenues, not because of the Chester residents, but because a lot of the businesses have refrained from participating in this project, and it leaves us with a tight budget. Even with that tight budget, we're able to maintain and do things in an orderly manner. We're here to ask the city for your support in helping us to fulfill a promise that we made to the city by going after a $10 million grant to deal with a problem that related to the storm water situation in Memorial Park. As you know, I don't want to be repetitious, that situation has created havoc for the residents, flooded our homes, flooded our businesses, constantly is a problem to the local library and the surrounding community. And we took that task on because we were asked to by the city. Successfully, we raised the money, a grant. That grant means that the city doesn't have to pay a dime back, nor the Stormwater Authority. But we do not have revenues in our operating budget to go outside of the ramifications of the grant. We also agreed to put in some amenities into the park, gazebos, walking trails, special lightings. That's going to cost us close to $500,000. That's going to come out of our operating budget. At this time, unless we were able to substantially increase the rates to the ratepayers, we don't have any additional funds other than what we receive on a daily basis to keep the authority running sound and effectively. We clean the city streets. We do it as a courtesy to our community because we love our community. We've been doing this for approximately 5 years at a cost of over $40,000 a month. Not charging the city anything. We work wholeheartedly with the highway department. We're partners. When either one of us need either one, we call each other and we work wholeheartedly. There's no fees charged to the city when we serve the city. We've also been involved in helping the recreation department and cutting grass and other things like that. We are here to serve. We were established to serve. We were established to help the city. And we feel that we are a part of the city. We hope that the mayor and council and all individuals who have say in this matter will look at us as a part of the city, doing what the city asks us to do, and give us some praise. I don't like to pat my own back that here we are, Chester residents, born and raised in the city. We were told we were no good most of our lives because we were black. But here we are running a successful operation, was able to secure close to $50 million for this city, do it successfully, kept our promises to the residents, the council, brought no shame and no disgrace to the community, and the city is better off. When the major flood, I will be finished with this last statement, most of the other communities flooded out during these major storms. Chester did not, because these men in this building worked hard. They work hard for their pay. They're clean, they're diligent, they're professional. We clean the inlets. When the residents of City of Chester call us, we answer that phone and we go to their areas and see what we can do to help them. We're here to serve. We're partners in that issue of serving the community.
Thank you, Dr. Strang.
We want the city to be supportive of us and what we're trying to do. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other further public comments on agenda items only? Hearing or seeing none? Madam Clerk.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve. The Stormwater Authority of the City of Chester is constructing a regional stormwater control basin, also known as the Veterans Memorial Park Regional Stormwater Facility, known as VMP, RSF, or Stormwater Facility, to target both flood control and water quality benefits in the area downstream between the existing railroad tracks and the Delaware River, which experiences flooding that impacts both structures and roadways. Further, the Stormwater Authority of the City of Chester shall comply with all of the conditions as outlined and said conditions must be performed in a manner that is satisfactory to City Council. Further, the City of Chester agrees to waive all city fees as listed below as follows for the completion of said project. Number 1, street opening permit fee, if applicable, $175 per opening plus $5.25 per square yard of asphalt and aggregate base restoration. $50 per square yard for trench restorations up to 10 square yards, and $10 per square yard for restoration over 10 square yards. And number 2, development agreement fee per the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. A, legal fee. B, engineer fee, 5% of the construction cost. And C, major land development in the amount of $4,000. Number 3, stormwater inspection fees. And number 4, performance bond and/or general contractor fees.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots.
No.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does approve and order payment of a series of bills and bills as received by the Solicitor's Office of all unpaid invoices for Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney P.C. pertaining to representing Chester City Council.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots.
No.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Bill number 16, the first reading was on August 9th, 2023. Ordinance number 13 of 2023, an ordinance of the City of Chester, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, amending ordinance number 7 of 2022, prescribing the numbers, duties, and compensation of the City of Chester as same pertains to the Department of Public Affairs by adding the position of Associate Project Manager, by adding the 2 positions for a bilingual clerk, by adding 2 positions for a bilingual code enforcement officer in the Housing Department, by adding a position for a Director of Community and Economic Development, by adding a position for grants writer and/or coordinator manager, to Police Department office staff by adding a position for animal control, prescribing the numbers, duties, and compensation as same pertains to the Department of Accounts and Finance by adding the position of staff accountant, prescribing the numbers, duties, and compensation as same pertains to the Department of Public Works by adding the position of field inspector, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent therewith.
I move that we pass Bill number 16 on its last and final reading.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Roots,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Ms.
King.
Is Ms. King here for a report? Ms. King?
Good morning.
Good morning.
After a long period of declining rates, COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations are on the rise again. In accordance with CDC data, new COVID-19 hospitalizations have continued to increase for the 4th consecutive week. In addition, there is a new variant of Omicron on the rise as well. The CDC reports that XBB subvariants constitute more than 95% of circulating variants. Updated vaccines will be available in the fall to target the XBB variants. Increasing research suggests that COVID-19 symptoms are becoming less common, making the virus harder to detect. On August 23rd, the Chester Upland School District will host a backpack giveaway from 3 to 6 p.m. at Erie Drive behind the high school. The event will also have a vaccine booster and shingle shot clinic. Lastly, on September 14th, Chester City Hall and the Environmental Protection Agency will host a lead awareness meeting from 6 to 8 in the council chambers at City Hall. If you are interested, you can register using Understanding Lead Chester, PA, or at one of the flyers on the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Ms. Smith?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a question once again. No expenditure list for this cycle either? I didn't see it on there.
Councilman Morgan is not here today
Okay.
To address that issue, so.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay. Okay, there's been flooding in California, brush fires in Hawaii and New Jersey. These things were not expected. Water can destroy properties. If you can remember 50 years ago, Erie Park in the city of Chester was destroyed by water that wiped out a whole community. Memorial Park floods, and if there is flooding like in California, this too can wipe out a community. People said the airplane cannot happen. People said, let's replace the ferries with bridges. All these things has helped the transportation system. There was a federal mandate for communities to establish stormwater remediation, and Chester was one of 5 in the United States that was selected as a pilot project. Thanks to Mayor Kirkland for the vision to establish the Stormwater Authority with the support of Councilwomen West and Williams, Councilman Morgan, and former Councilman Jacobs. Memorial Park cannot survive the constant flooding. Stormwater Authority is here to solve this problem. We know that there are still a few naysayers out there, but remember that this has to occur in order to keep the citizens in the city of Chester from any further flooding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Justice? Flag Justice?
Good morning, Mayor, City Council, all those in position of authority. I have been led to share something with you this morning as an intercessor. If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land. I will listen to every prayer made in this place, for I have chosen this city, Chester, and set it apart to be my home forever. My eyes and my heart will always be here. God wants to restore this city. We know I was born and raised in Chester, and I know Chester was a vibrant city. And God wants to restore Chester. God said he would be alert day and night to the prayers offered for this city. He has chosen and sanctified this city. His name is stamped on it, and his eyes and heart are open to it always. Chester was a great city. Great people came from this city, and God wants to restore it. There's nothing too hard for God. Serving as mayor of a city, or serving on city council, or whatever leadership role you play, is a big responsibility. God will hold you accountable. But we as born-again believers have a responsibility as well. We are to pray for those in the position of authority over us, not put them down or knock them. God is holding us accountable as well. Let's seek the heart of God, ask for forgiveness, and with him, let him turn what the devil meant for evil around for our good, for our city, in the name of Jesus. Thank you.
Mr. Nelson?
Good morning,
Morning.
everyone. I don't have no prayer, but what I do, I got a couple questions. The redevelopment,
Mr. Nelson, speak right into that mic.
trying to speak with my inner voice because I'm pissed off, Pastor. All right, I just found out about the redevelopment of Chester, these lots that we couldn't buy as the people that lived on the block that we tried to buy, and the redevelopment folks said we only could buy the ones that was attached to our apartment, and the city owned the rest of them. They released them properties without saying a word, and now we have people redeveloping that's not from Chester. How do I get in the mix for my own neighborhood?
Mr. Nelson, you're saying that the properties are owned by the redevelopment authority?
The property were owned by the redevelopment authority. They released them. We were told when the redevelopment authority snatched these properties that we couldn't buy the property unless they was adjacent to the property owner. They were nuisance property in the neighborhood that folks like myself, and I'm quite sure in other neighborhoods, kept clean. They said, well, you can buy this one, but you can't build on them. None of the properties can be built on. I'm finding through the city that these lots have been released without the citizen knowing, and they're being developed on.
I don't see Lisa. She's in a meeting. Our CETA director isn't present today. The best person probably that can answer that question is her. If you hang around a little bit, we'll make sure we can touch bases with her.
Okay, the second part, you're the liaison for the city? You're the lawyer, right? You're the lawyer for the city?
Solicitor, correct.
All right. If what I'm saying is true, what can we do?
Well, I mean, as the mayor suggested, it would be wise to meet with CETA, who has a list of CRA and CETA and city properties. Right. And number two, there's also a repository list of properties with the county.
Right, I'm saying, but if what I'm saying is true, what can I do?
About what?
About if they had an ordinance that they're not supposed to be developing on the property that they took off the suppository list for redevelopment. It was supposed to be for Chester redevelopment. And that wasn't
that wasn't honored, what can a normal citizen do on my block? What can I do?
I mean, you could have assuming you're correct about the
Right.
ordinance, which I have no independent.
I understand
knowledge
that.
of, you would have the right to challenge it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Scott?
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
Nice to see you again. I'm here with Eric Carlson, who is the developer of the Fourth and Booth Distribution Center, which Council has previously approved, and where work is ongoing. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a resolution before the city on developing an adjacent parcel that the developer did not own at the time that the city approved the larger project last year. So I just wanted to bring a depiction of this, just to let council know what you'll be thinking about next week. I should say 2 weeks. This is the building that was previously approved. Since that time, a little awkward. Thank you. The developer has purchased the property next door, so that's why we're doing this in 2 stages. They did not own that property at the time. It's the former St. Hedwig's Catholic Club that was abandoned and in disrepair. It has been demolished. They're going to be using that area for parking for the distribution center, and that will be before you in 2 weeks. We just wanted to kind of queue up the projects to let you know what it is in case you have any questions, so that in 2 weeks, you know, we can have a dialogue if necessary. So that's the extent of what we want to do today. Oh, I'm sorry. So, well, to recap, in 2 weeks, we're going to be asking City Council to approve a development plan for an additionally acquired proper parcel next to the Fourth and Booth Distribution Center that has already been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Which street is Fourth? Fourth is on the bottom, and then Booth Street is off to the right,
Yeah.
or your left.
It's railroad tracks behind.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Shelton?
Not a school, no. 7th Street? This is 4th.
That was Pulaski,
That
Mr.
was
Shelton.
Pulaski
Fourth.
School.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near that.
This is not Pulaski.
Yeah, this is south of the railroad tracks.
Thank you.
No.
You can have a sidebar with him, Mr. Shelton.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And just for your information, unfortunately, we were unable to put that on. We were unable to put that on the agenda for today.
Yeah.
Because we're under time constraints, and so we will.
We'll be back in 2 weeks for that. Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Reverend Strand, again. 2 minutes this time, brother.
My comments is to Councilman Roots. I'd like to know why he had a press conference at Memorial Park and presented some facts that were incorrect, made statements that was irresponsible to the community about the Stormwater Authority, somewhat outright lies about my board members making more money than they could imagine, misrepresenting the fact that we had never worked or communicated with Delcora concerning our plans when we've been working with Delcora for more than 2 years, meet with them on a regular basis. And I'm just wondering, what is the purpose of trying to speak negatively to the residents about work that has been done to deal with an infrastructure that's over 330 years old, that was decaying and falling apart. And as an elected official, you understand the responsibility of protecting a community and dealing with its infrastructure and making sure that it's safe and it's operating properly. So you have been elected just through a primary, but you're not elected yet as mayor. But even as an elected official, you also put out negative comments that affect our revenue source, that make people think that you're in a position to shut the authority down. And that could possibly cause us to go into the red if people think they can hold back their money until you get elected mayor. I want to understand, what is your purpose of trying to tear down an operation that has successfully served this community well, met the needs of the community, brought in needed revenues, worked with the federal government, the EPA, the DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Conservation District, met all the litmus tests that is necessary to do what we do, and you who say you are an engineer, but you don't work as an engineer nowhere, would have more concern and logic than what you put forth to try to get elected as mayor. Is this what we're going to have to expect if you are successful in November, that you're going to put out more misinformation and put out lies and destroy the character of our board that has served so well to help this community? I want to know what we are going to have to expect from you if you are successful in November. Because I think you owe us an apology. I think you owe the whole community an apology. Because you took a political issue and turned something good into something that was bad by putting out misinformation. It made the people think that we put the city in debt $32 million, which is a lie. The city doesn't owe anybody anything. The Stormwater Authority does, not the city. The bottom line is this, is that we are working diligently with mayor and council and supposedly with you as a member of council to serve this city. I'd like to know, what is your intention, what is your purpose, and have you reconsidered the negative comments that you have made? Or do you have any factual evidence to prove the statements that you made were totally contrary to facts, and give the people the truth?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Can I get a response?
I don't think this is the place to respond to all the issues that you just brought up, but I'll be more than happy if you'd like to write me a letter or an email of all the information that I provided that you are considered negative.
How do you get out? How do you get into a public meeting with cameras, news reporters? Even a news reporter called you when you were trying to make people think that the $10 million was something you had to pay back. The news reporter said, even she straightened you out at your own press conference. Now, you did that publicly. What's wrong with right now? I'm trying to understand that.
There's nothing wrong right now, but this is a city council meeting where we're taking care of city council issues. If you want to have a meeting with...
You made a lot of lies and put out a lot of misinformation. You falsely accused my board members.
I'll be more than happy to answer any question that you have. I'll be more than happy to give you facts on any statement that I made. You're not giving me anything right here to respond to. You just want me to take up this time for that.
That's
I'll
not
be
true.
more
That's
than
not
happy
true.
to answer every question if you present the question on a piece of paper so that I can answer it.
Why do I have to put some on paper that's already written in public documentation in your press conference? You already had that written down, the lies you told. It was reported in the public. Why do I have to bring a piece of paper?
Because you're calling them lies. So
Because they were lies.
if you identify what you see as a lie, bring it to me, and
You
I will
told-
give you the
You told the
facts.
public that we were putting a lake in the park when we were putting a retention pond that's engineered, designed to control the flow of the water so that it won't overrun.
You're answering your own questions, sir. If you want me to answer the questions, put them in writing. I'll be happy to respond quickly.
I'm not going to put anything more in writing.
Well, then
I'll
this
take
is
what-
over. Your 3 minutes are up.
I'll take what you wrote in black and white at your press conference and give it back to you and answer you to give me some proof to the things that you said.
Well, that's exactly what we're asking. Thank you.
And I don't want to read about it in your blog, because all you seem to do in your blog is destroy the character and the good work that people have done in Chester. I've never seen anything in your blog praising anybody. You put a lot of lies in there. You called me names. You called me a gangster preacher. You talked about us when we brought brand new trucks to serve the community. What good have you said? And then you sit in this place here in council and a meeting and you approved the project. You said it was a good thing. I have witnesses who heard you say it. Then for political reasons, you turned on us. And then you also sent your hunchback to our office to tell me that you think this is the greatest thing that's going on in Chester. Would I support you? And when I said I would not support you, then the next thing I know, you trashed us. You also said you're going to fire the chief of police, who's doing an excellent job, who's brought crime down more than 50%. You also said you're going to get rid of the city solicitor and put your hunchback there. The bottom line is this, is that the city of Chester, what are you going to tell the city you plan to do to help us? What have you ever done to help the city? But I want to know, what are you going to tell us about your plans if you are successful about being mayor to make a difference in the city? The only thing I ever heard you say, you're going to pity back with the receiver and you're going to follow his leadership because he's the boss.
Thank you, Reverend Strand. Thank you, Reverend. Ms. Littleton?
Yeah, you can say it. It's going to be a hard act to follow. Good morning, Council and Mayor. How are you guys on today? Wow, I guess this is not by coincidence. As a 24-plus year resident myself, I am very key on making sure that our community is educated and informed, especially as residents here in Chester City and with the affairs of what's happening in our city. I think it's so important. And many of you know, Council Mayor, that we've been here to, try to help and continue to ensure that that happens. I think that the Chester residents need to understand and know clearly what is happening in the city that they reside in, which leads me into my questions. I am going to direct this question to Councilman Roots first. I'm hoping that the other council and mayor can answer this question. Councilman Roots, you attended the LNG task force hearing on yesterday at Widener University. I need to ask you something first before I can frame the wording of my question, because there was an article and I want to make sure that I am very clear on your position there. Were you acting yesterday at that hearing as an unopposed mayor candidate for the city of Chester, November 7, 2023, or were you acting in behalf of a current council member?
Current council member.
Okay, and I wanted to ask that because there was an article that did reference to you being an unopposed mayor candidate for Chester City, November 7, 2023. The article that went out that stated that information was corrected after a community resident contacted the newspapers, I think it was Daily Times, corrected that article to, in fact, inform the Chester residents, all of Delaware County, that there is another candidate for mayor in Chester City that will be on that ballot November 7th, 2023. And for the record, we want to make sure that all the residents know that and that they understand that, because we don't want to be, this is about the education and empowerment, we don't want to be a part of undermining democracy. And as a resident, that's something that I've been very instrumental about trying to encourage and bring to the residents of Chester City. So for the record, you do know that, right, that there is another candidate for mayor? Okay, so anyway, you do know that there's another candidate. They reference you to as an unopposed candidate. Well, never mind that. Let's get to what's important. But for the record, I do want Chester City to know that there is another choice for mayor in Chester City, and I'm asking you to educate yourselves, inform yourselves, and find out about your other choices, okay? But on that meeting yesterday, I know that the LMP task force, as a resident, again, I am very, very in favor of getting rid of and dealing with polluters that somehow always seems to find their way in communities like Chester City, okay, black and brown communities. I believe that there is no price tag, no dollar amount, okay, that can compromise or that should be compared or compromise the health and wellness and the lives of the beautiful residents here in Chester City, okay? And I applaud all of the organizers that are standing up boldly in this city to speak against these polluters who has been fighting for years. But your position on yesterday, and I'm asking on your position, you said you were there as a councilman, and so I guess I would address this to the rest of the council and mayor. I remember this issue had came up about a year or so ago. I thought I was at that meeting. I might be confusing it with the meeting, Councilman West, that you asked for the public for the Delcor extension, okay? And so I know that this, I think, was the final and third meeting, and so I'm curious to find out, can you educate the public? Because I believe that if the public is going to fight for something, they need to be well educated on what they're fighting for. Okay, this is a very serious issue, and so I'm just wondering why the other council maybe weren't there. What's going on with this process? And I'll say this after I heard this about a year ago, learning about it about a year ago. This had already been, in the making for about 5 years. So what has happened in between that time? I see that there is an uproar with this fight against this plan. Is this something that's going to be installed next year? Or what is the uproar? What is the council's position? And furthermore, who makes the final authority on this? Is this a government regulation that the government will determine what happens, or is this council? And I'm just curious to know, because if we're out here fighting, I think that all of Chester City needs to be educated on what's going on. And maybe, Mr. Roots, if you can educate us on your position there, your testimony, and what's your position in this? And again, is this something that we need to be concerned about? Because this was something that came up about a year or so ago. Or whoever council that wants to answer this, I would appreciate it.
Well, I can only speak to my position on LNG coming into the city. I was there yesterday along with the mayor. We were there. Okay. And I'm not in support. I've made this statement in council before. I am not in support of LNG company coming into Chester. It's dangerous. In my opinion, I'm speaking for myself. It's a dangerous entity. I've read up on it, and there are some things that if there were to be a mishap of some sort, a lot of people could get hurt, and there could be loss of life, a terrible fallout, loss of property, and a lot of things could happen, And I do not want to see anything else coming here that would be an environmental detriment to our people. The people elected me. I've been here 14 years. You put your trust in me for 14 years, and I will continue to serve you to the best of my ability. I have no skin in this next election or anything. I'm going to be here, God willing, 2 more years, but I will not support LNG coming into our city.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you just acknowledge. I didn't know if the other council members were there, because I know the last time it came up here, no one was really knew about that. I was wondering what was the efforts moving forward, because I see, fighting for something is in key, but is very important. But I think it's important that we are fighting authentically. And so, what has been happening? Has council been working together about this LNG piece? Maybe Mr. Roots, you can speak to that since you testified on yesterday. Have you guys been working consistently on this issue, or what's been going on? Or is this just something that we're doing right now because it's the final one, and we're just trying to make sure we hit it home?
Again, I can't speak for the rest of council, but I'll say there was a hearing yesterday. I was invited to testify, and I did.
Okay.
Ms. Littleton, thank you for your questions. Number one, I met with the persons who wanted to bring LNG, liquid nitrogen gas, here to the city. I met with them, and as I tell everyone, when folks would come to this community and would like an audience of myself and others, I will give them that so I can educate myself and learn more about the process or the project. And in sitting through the project and the process and looking at it, looking at all the safeguards, looking at all the positives and the negatives, my biggest concern was not about a pollutant, because I honestly don't believe that, because all they're doing is transferring. But my biggest concern was the possible displacement of the residents. And there's a thing called the buffer zone that they talked about. And the buffer zone would displace probably up to maybe up to about 3rd Street, rows of homes. And it went down as far as Lloyd Street, I think it is. That's how large the facility would be. And so, as mayor, I have to look at everything: the economic impact, the environmental impact, how is it going to help our community or hurt our community. And so I've done that. I continue to meet with them. I continue to talk with those in favor of, and even those who are in opposition of, because I want to educate myself. I don't need somebody else coming to me, nor do I want anybody else coming to me and telling me stuff that they don't have the proper information on. And so I sit down, I meet, and I would hope that this community would look and seek an audience with those individuals, both pro and con, so that they might be given a visual of what this facility actually looks like. And let me say this, and then you can go to the next person. Our biggest problem here in this city right now is financial. And somehow, some way, we got to find how to meet the financial needs of this city. I'd love to see, if you know of anybody that is bringing housing, prime upgrade housing to the city, I'd love to see it. Matter of fact, we're trying to do that now. We're trying to do that right here downtown Chester. If you know of anybody who's bringing various businesses, we just talked to the gentleman that's now purchased the other part of the property so that he might build. We are looking for opportunities to gain financially here in this city. And one of the things I will not do is I will not bring up statistics from 1965 or 1973. I'll look at statistics for today. I hear folks, and I understand that because I hear folks talk about asthma. I hear folks talk about low birth weight. I hear folks talk about cancer. Those things have been around this city for a long time, since Atlantic Steel, since Sunship. My daddy and my mama died of cancer. Sunship, Atlantic Steel, Bolton Anchor, and more. To point the finger at one industry when we sit in a city that is surrounded by multiple highways, carbon monoxide, an airport, jet fuel. We have multiple businesses and industries on the waterfront, not just Covanta. We also have Delcora and others. And for some strange reason, we keep a #1 basketball team. Our young people run the brakes off of people in track. We have a #1 football team. Our young people run over other teams. I don't want folks spewing 73 statistics. If they can show me those same statistics today when it comes to low birth weight, because I worked in family planning for a number of years. If they can show me those statistics today about asthma, then I'm, make me a believer. I like to.
So it's not really the health issue for you, it's more the houses that would be affected by it, is what you're saying?
Collaboration. It's a
Okay.
collaboration of things.
Okay, and Sally, I hope that we as the city of Chester can really start looking at alternative methods. It's sad that black and brown communities have to compromise to what we call the lesser of two evils. Other communities are thriving without having polluting industries, and we have to jump on board, get very aggressive about making sure, okay, that we can get those industries in here that are not polluters. It is no excuse, and I still stand firmly that there's no dollar amount, okay, that could compare to the health and wellness and the lives. And it's sad to hear, from what these companies did. So I hope that the city is going to aggressively and progressively move towards getting healthier environments in here because other communities do it. And we know that the statistics are there, and statistically, no other communities will compromise like black and brown communities have to feel like we have to do. And that's just really, all I want to put out here. We don't have to do that. We can do exactly what other communities are doing, and we can thrive in health and wellness, and we can, have a flourishing city and live to enjoy it. And so we have to really consider that. That means we have to work hard, okay, because it's not a compromise. But thank you, and if anybody else, I just think it's important that the residents, and this is what I'm talking about, education and empowerment, that we understand where our political officials stand, whom we elected to be, okay? So what is your stance on this? And I think it's important that we understand, because I didn't know what your positions was on LNG. The last time, nobody really understood about it, but I think it's important for residents to know so that there is not this misunderstanding or people are perceiving things wrong. It's important to have communication so we know where you stand, so we can say, well, yes, our leaders, stand with how most of us feel or whatever. So thank you for that explanation on the day, if anybody else wants to answer, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Ms. Stone. Ms. Davis, Lopez Davis.
Good evening, everyone. This is I was here 2 weeks ago.
Ms. Davis, pull that microphone down to you.
I was here 2 weeks ago complaining about the dump that they have made right in front of my yard. There's 7 houses in the row, but it's right in front of my row. And I was told that someone was coming down the next day to see about it. But I haven't. No one has come. And it's really making me sick. I beg your pardon?
There the same day, myself and Mr. Alexander.
Well, I mean, I think someone should have knocked on my door and told me about it.
No, we went around back and we saw the boat, and I think we're making some arrangements to get that boat removed so that the gentleman in the streets department can drag that little area there where we have the overgrowth, because we know that there's been some dumping back there and we have to drag it. So first we have to get the boat removed. I don't know, have you had any progress on that yet, Mr. Alexander?
I'm concerned about the boat, but I'm concerned about my health. I had to go to the doctor. I can't open my windows, and this has been going on for last year. I bought these 2 years ago. I've been coming back and forth over to the city hall, showing these pictures and all. And I mean, it's can I show you the pictures?
Mm-hmm.
You seen them.
There you go. We saw, are they the ones you bought last time?
It's right in front of those. It's been 3 years.
This is not in front of your house. This is,
Right in front of my, in back of my door.
and is it in the rear? Is it in the rear or the front? Okay, it's not in front of your house. It's in the back. Okay, that's where we, okay.
Everybody would see it. But that's been going on for years. I've been back and forth.
We did start the process.
I can't raise my windows. I'm 94 years old. I'm out of
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Ms. Brown?
Good morning, Mayor and Council and residents here. First, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to congratulate you on Saturday's event. I was there. It was nice. I enjoyed myself very much for the community project you did. Mr. Roots, I want to thank you for your report from yesterday's meeting. It was well appreciated also. And then I'd like to pick up on a redevelopment project that was spoken of. If a building is deteriorated where half of it's already fallen down and it was slated on your list to be torn down, how come all of a sudden, out of the blue, it's being redeveloped again? I'm talking about the property at 3rd and Wilson, 2601, corner property. The building is even bowed out as these men are tearing the windows down and everything. I stopped my car, got out, went over and talked to the gentleman. Well, what are you doing here? I thought they were part of the tear down unit. They said, no, we bought this building and we're going to redevelop it. Said, from the basement up? Yes. I said, do you know the condition? Have you been in that basement? It flooded with water all the time. Like I say, half of the building is already torn down and it's bowed out from all the heavy water and rain and damage that we already had. But yet, it's been vacant for about 28 years and then it's been on your tear down list. And then from last week, 2 weeks ago meeting here, till today, it's all of a sudden being redeveloped again.
Ms. Brown, let me see if I can answer that question for you. I don't know if you saw the building coming off of the Curlin Street exit. If you come off that Curlin Street exit.
Yeah, right at the corners.
There's both the buildings on left and right. The one on the left was in deplorable condition, looked like it was going to fall down.
Right.
I was ready for demolition. Someone purchased that building, and they redeveloped that building.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
That building is beautiful now.
Right, these were small property buildings.
So to answer your question, if a individual purchases a building, purchases that property, and want to invest in that property, and rehab that property and make that property beautiful again, we're not against that because it's something that goes back on the tax roll that creates revenue for the city. So we wouldn't be against an individual coming in and saying, look, don't tear it down. I see value in that, and rehabbing and restoring that property.
Okay, but are you going to follow through to go down? Because like I say, the building is bowed out to make sure they're following code and do proper.
I'm not going to do that, but we do have.
That's Mr. Roots? Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. West. All right, and I went out and spoke to the gentleman about this distribution they just spoke of, again, coming down in the neighborhood. They have no idea yet who their tenants will be, they said. It's just they're going to build the distribution center up, and then they're going to take on bids who's going to move in there, okay? So that's something that needs to be followed through. We want to know what kind of distribution is going to happen in there, okay? What's going on? And I missed the other comments, but the end of Ms. Littleton, where you just spoke that your biggest concern for the residents of Chester is a health concern and a financial. What's going to make the city prosper more, okay? So in saying that, and moving those residents off of the 291, Lloyd Street, Pusey Street, and 3rd Street to make a blocker sort of for this LNG, and plus the businesses. I went out Saturday with Miss Waits on our own. We did this. We walked those 2 square blocks, knocking on people's doors, telling them about the LNG, and to our disbelief, they didn't even know about an LNG plant going to be built down there on the waterfront at Lloyd Street.
They're
lying. Are they lying to us? I mean, they didn't know us, we didn't know them. We knocked on the doors.
Ms. Brown, these are proposals.
Mhm.
They don't just come in and say, we're going to build.
Understood.
They are proposing. They're putting forth a proposal. So they're not lying, but we shouldn't.
But
we shouldn't provide misinformation. These are proposals.
Right. So even if it's a proposal that's going to happen, shouldn't the residents ahead of time know that this proposal is going to
You're saying,
happen?
I'm going to say it one more time, because now you're adding, you said a proposal that's going to happen. I didn't say that.
No, the proposal took place already. They proposed it to you.
Okay, so.
But didn't you bring it to the
Ms.
community?
So, Ms. Brown,
This is
where's
the
it going to happen?
proposal.
Where's it going to happen? Help me out.
No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. You said it's a proposal.
Yeah, and
When
you
I
said a proposal
propose
that's going to
something-
happen.
No, I didn't say it was going to happen. I said, you proposed this. It was proposed to you that this wants to happen in this city, but in a certain area. Now, in that area, don't you, as the mayor, want to notify your people, look, this was proposed to me. How do you all feel about this? What's going on?
Ms. Brown,
Yes?
the LNG persons came in,
Yes?
and they did a little presentation.
Yes?
Some of the residents that showed up.
Yes, I was one. So, I heard what they said,
Ms.
and
Brown, well, I can't make it more clear than that.
no,
We-
I understand, but all along, I still hear what you're saying. You were for this proposal and everything.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you were.
I didn't say
You
that.
did. You said it many
I
times
didn't
that you
say
were
that, Ms. Brown.
for it.
Now, that's a lie.
You can stand here and
That's a lie.
say it's a lie. It's not.
That's a
But
lie.
if
I
any
didn't say
people were here before and know, you were here
That's a lie, Ms.
for the
didn't say that.
financial input of the city coming in.
Well,
You and the many more political people out here,
Okay.
Said you were for this happening in the
that's-
city.
that's not
Okay? And I'm going to
true.
leave it at is.
Thank you.
All right?
That's
Thank
not
you.
true. One of the things, and I take a lot of stuff up here, but I'm not going to take lies. I'm not going to have anybody tear down my character and lie on me. I never said that. I said I will always entertain those persons who come into this city who have a proposal or something that they want to do in this city to better this city, to financially, environmentally, socially. I will listen. I have a right and a duty as a mayor to listen. I never said what you said, and I kind of resent that. Mr. Salim?
I didn't see him.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, excellent morning. Quite a bit of, I wouldn't say confusion. We are coming out of the confusion. We are coming into the pure reality or the true reality. And this is a chapter in our book. It says the true reality. Because we were dealing with false reality. We heard the expression. My name is Amin Abdul Salim. I live 240 Patterson Street. Now, we heard the expression artificial intelligence. I don't know if this has anything to do with the true reality that is mentioned in God's book, the true reality. So God saw fit to mention that in our book at this date. So saying that we still have a ways to go in coming to reality, true reality. So I'm hearing people make comments, the true reality. We're going to build this town from the true reality. And the point is that if astaghfirullah, I am here and not talking big-headed way. I'm just saying many of us still has to grow in understanding and intelligence. God said, your use is the reminder, the remembrancer. And the people need that. Elderlies, some elderlies need that, terribly need that, and if they don't have it, then they just simply don't have it. But Stephen, I'm not trying to talk, other than respectful good. So, Mayor, I see you, if I may just mention briefly, we have to know what we came through. We on the bottom of the totem pole because we said no to a lot of stuff that was not good for us. To our Lord, we said, the greatest thing that our Lord says is that, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah. No God, no God, no God but God. No God, no God but God. We was taking a lot of stuff over the centuries, over the years, as God, and it wasn't God, and we built on that mess, and so it's time for us to build with the true intelligence now. We're going to do that. I see some lacking, very much lacking of that, but I know that they have a willingness to come, and that's what we need, sir. And that's what is happening. You, if I may say, you was great and counseling in your efforts to say no to a lot of stuff that was offered to us and just to stand up and fall away with those who are going to fall away. So if you can understand that. So I won't go on and on, and I didn't come to go on and on, but just to give us some good foundation, some strength in what we're doing, some clarity, some clarity, some clarity. Some clarity. Education this is the education that is going to happen. Sir, and if I may mention, God said, look, I created you the first time with something that is considered as despised, and some of you look down on us, think that we cannot do anything, and I can do it again. Something that despised, like you would say ill on, like sperm drop, or their conduct is bad, sperm drop type of thing. But God said, I can create you the first time on something that is held despised, despicable. I can do that again. And God is going to do this is happening again. And the child come out, beautiful child, smiling with those two bottom teeth, looking beautiful child, beautiful child. So inshallah, God's willing, sir. I didn't mean to go this long, and I pray that we are somewhat straightened out in the intelligence, and the finances. Finance, sir, is going to come with the disintelligence. It's going to come with disintelligence, sir. I thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Salim. Thank you. Mr. Wilson. No.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning, man.
Resident, City of Chester. Just a real quick report. As most of you know, on August 7th, City of Chester rolled out its beautiful black and orange trash cans. Everybody should have received one. So we had ordered a total of 10,000 trash cans. Small report. A total of 9,835 trash cans were delivered in a 2-week period. We do understand some people haven't received them for the reasons that they're in a duplex, so they might have received one, but we are currently reviewing the phone, the answering machine. So we don't want you to think that we're ignoring you. We're coming around, we're going over all that, viewing our data. So you will be receiving your trash can if you haven't received one. You can call 610-447-7700, or 610-447, extension 7908. Please be patient with us. We'll return your call. We'll get back to you. Everyone is going to get one if you haven't got one already. Another thing, I would just want to remind the community that this program was very sensitive. It was a federally funded program. So if you have 2 trash cans, you're only supposed to have 1. Please call that number I just gave you. Someone will be passed to pick that trash can up. You don't have to bring it over here. Just give us a call. We'll be to pick it up. We'll address it. We see everything, Mr. Shelton. We know who got 2. We know who got 3. We know that some probably crossed the border, but we're gonna get these trash cans back. I'm not on social media like that, so I can't sit up here and say that, but I had heard some cross the state line. Once again, this is a federally funded program. If you don't want the men in black to come knocking on your door over a trash can, please return the trash can. So there is a serial number on everybody's trash can, which belongs to that address. So if you have more than 2, and I ain't trying to use that as no scare tactic or none of that, but just call the number I just said, and someone will be passed to get it. Once again, those who haven't received one, you will be receiving one. So with that being said, that completes my report.
Thank you.
It's 3. Yeah. No, 3 or more.
Okay, well, Keystone, they got apartments over there, right? Y'all getting trash cans to them, shouldn't they have to get dumpsters?
We're reviewing that now, so that's under review. So like I said, we're getting the calls about some of the things. You got to remember, these people that deliver these trash cans, they're not from here. They're from Florida, South Carolina, so they don't know the scope of the land, but we know the scope of the land. And like I said, the Men in Black is coming to get any extra trash cans that are out there, so we're coming.
So they're not supposed to have trash cans, right? Y'all make them get dumpsters?
Yes, that's the plan. So
Yes. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome. That's how it sounds when we come. Get a trash can. Real quick, so, I mean, you can identify your trash can, but we would just ask that you do it in a very professional way. Please don't make it look like graffiti, the big numbers and all that. You can go to the dollar store, get little numbers, they're $1. Once again, just put them on your trash can. Try to make them look nice and neat. Let's keep this city clean, keep the trash cans uniform. Spray paint, I understand, it just doesn't look right. All right? Is that it? Yep.
Thank you.
That's the sound.
Laws.
Good morning, Mayor, Council in the City of Chester. My name is Darren Laws. I'm a lifelong resident here at Chester High School, along with being the dean at Chester High School. I want to personally come up and thank Mayor and Council, along with the workers that's sitting out here, and Ms. West for actually doing an amazing job, not just with them doing their work, but as a resident and residents getting out in the communities, trying to bring our communities back, working together, because at the end of the day, they can't solve all the problems. Along with myself, Jamil Cotman, and a lot of other grassroots programs, we are out here in these communities. We are talking to the neighbors, and we are also trying to encourage them to do their part. You know, that's very important. One of the things as a dean for the school district, working with the young folks who are making good, positive changes, you know, we're not going to always get along and agree with everything, but we have to put our thinking caps on and work together. I wouldn't just say with us contacting city council or anything like that, We got to talk to the communities, talk to your neighbors, and see how we can improve. One of the things, I wouldn't say I do have a problem with it. I'm starting to see a lot of, returning citizen homes and drug and alcohol programs up on the east side end. And it's very concerning to me with my mother still living here and having a lot of them just walking around at nighttime. I'm not saying that mayor and the police department are not doing their part, but that's a concern with me, just making sure that our city isn't just used as a facility to just have drug and alcohol or mental health. Not saying that I don't have a problem with it, but I think we all need to keep our eyes open and our ears open along with what's going on in this city, especially us as the older folks, because of the young ones, they're going to be here. And our job is to groom them, to make them understand why it's important to work, why is it important to make good choices and decisions. And I'm proud to say I have worked under the mayor as a consultant in the liaison department for 5 years. Even though I'm not employed, I'm still going to do my part here in this city because I love my city. One of the things I had the honor of being asked to be on Delaware County's divisions board. And what that entails, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lama Detention Center. So what they're doing, they're looking to build facilities out there for not just our Chester kids, but the kids in Delaware counties. One thing I will not do, I will not let you sit and say that most of the crime is coming from Chester and Chichester. And I spoke up. And we're going to be fair when we're going to do this, when we do the data to make sure it's crimes in other areas, not just in Chester. So you guys are going to be probably be getting information on different programs and things that's supposed to be in the city of Chester and other areas when we talk about resources, job opportunities. Well, don't put it on paper. Let's make sure we're putting out here for the residents to see it. So I thought it was important to come and share that with not just mayor, but with our residents. Just being proactive. With sharing what's going on, what needs to be not great, but what we need in the city of Chester. And, I was raised by old school off of 2nd Street from, aunts and uncles. And that's one of the things I install into the young folks. Listen, you have to learn to listen sometimes and make sure you're listening to your adults and your grandmothers and your aunts and your uncles, because Mr. Laws ain't get this way by myself. And believe it or not, you may hear a lot of things about the high school. The culture has changed. The crime is down. The crime is down not just because of the DA's office, not because of the police office. It's because of all of us communicating and working and talking to these young folks. Just last year, we had the highest number of graduation at Chester Upland School District, 340-something graduates. So that's not the school teachers and the counselors and the principals, and I don't care how many doctor's degrees you have. That's from us. That's from us. Now, they can teach, but that's from us talking to these young folks. That's from us bringing programs down here and just trying to work together. And the mayor ain't going to have all the answers. When I work with him, I didn't expect him to have all the answers. We just have to do our part. That's all. So I thank you, Mayor. On the last note, this Sunday, we are doing something called a lunchbox giveaway. I know we have the backpack programs, but we decided to try to do something different. With the lunchbox giveaways, we're going to be giving out 350 lunch boxes, but we're going to have different stations where they go and pick things from the lunch boxes, motivational speeches. We were able to partner up with McDonald's and Eddystone. McDonald's and Eddystone is a partnership with the city of Chester. A lot of you probably may not know that. ShopRite is also a partnership, Local 413. So it's just us just trying to do our part. And that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laws. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the time is going to be from 3 to, Jamil, what, 11 to 3? 11 to 3. And one of the things I want to share also, I'm putting him on the spot. Mr. Jamil Cotman, I work a lot with him. He's actually taking about, 50 kids? We have 50 kids, so we're actually doing 2 programs that day. We're taking 50 kids. They don't pay for anything over to Clementon Park. So we do a lot in the community with the partnership with the city and other grassroots. And I'm going to put her on the spot. Ms. Bowser is one of our socio-emotional coordinators at Chester High School. She does a lot with the Latino community. Yes. So I just thought it was important to share some of the things that's what's going on. And if anybody have any questions, feel free to ask us.
Thank you.
It's going to be over at the Boys and Girls Club. I apologize. We gave all the flyers out. So, but it's free. Everything we do is free.
Thank you, Mr. Laws.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Williams.
I'd like to say good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
I want you to know I need the residents and the citizens of Chester to keep your eyes on the prize. Everything that comes up negative about the city is not true. Now, the city of Chester, number one, we're the oldest. We have the oldest courthouse, had, past tense. We had the oldest courthouse in this active courthouse in the city of Chester, and the county signed off to take it away. Just think what I told you. At first I told you, keep your eyes on the prize. Don't be evildoers. Everybody sitting in here is not in your favor. Not in Chester's favor, okay? So as the city of Chester, we as a people, we need to come together. We need to come together because what they have us fighting and arguing with each other, but there's a bigger picture. I'm telling y'all, it's a big and lot of money that all these people coming in here for and having us fighting among ourselves. You need to get it together. You need to get it together. I'm telling you, I leave here New Year's Eve. Everybody want to know who the mayor, who this, who that. He's the mayor. Thaddeus Kirkland is the mayor. Whether you like it or not, he's the mayor until the end of the year, okay? So right now, we doing what we supposed to do and keep the city rolling and not have people coming in here stealing your city. It's happening all across the nation. Don't let them come in here and take Chester. That's all I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's a bigger picture. It's so much money down Chester that it's not funny. Y'all missing it, right? Yes, you are. You missing it. You need to get some finances in here. Have that receiver brought anybody in here? Who had the receiver brought in here? Who has the receiver brought in here that is bringing us any kind of money? Who has he brought in here? He been here He hasn't brought nothing in here. Nothing. So Chester, you got to do for yourself. We got to keep this city for ourselves, not everybody else coming in here. They wanted to move out there where they was at, leave them on out there. And don't make it so easy for them to come in here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
And the courthouse is ours. I have the history right here. The courthouse is ours. It was sold to the city of Chester in 1850, whatever, and the guy that bought it for us, they bought it for us, $2,601. That's how much that courthouse is paid. The guy paid for it. That courthouse is ours, and it's up to us to get it back. Don't let them keep it out there in the county. County got the courthouse. They took it. The county took the courthouse out media. This is our courthouse here in the city of Chester, so why do they need 2 courthouses?
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Roots?
I don't have anything.
Councilman Morgan?
I'm good today.
Councilwoman West?
Yes, there's some people in the room that I'd like to thank. First of all, thank you, Mr. Robertson, for the report on the distribution of our new orange and black trash cans that have serial numbers on them that are attached to your respective household. And I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed because we have some people who are actually taking trash cans from in front of homes that are abandoned and, you know, retrieving them for themselves, and they end up with 2 trash cans. You're supposed to have 1 trash can per household. Apartment buildings that are 3 or more apartments, then your landlord is supposed to provide a dumpster. So that's the way it's supposed to be. And we are checking, we're going through and tracking those trash cans, and the ones that are where they're not supposed to be, we're going to take them. We're going to retrieve them. And this was a federally funded program. Was it federally funded? Okay. So you have to be careful messing with items that are purchased with government dollars, okay? Because there can be a repercussion, you know. We're not saying, but there can be. So if you have a trash can that doesn't belong to you, I suggest that you call the numbers that Mr. Robertson gave you and have us pick them up from you, because you don't want to be caught with a stolen trash can. I'm just saying. Also, there are so many people that I'd like to thank. Mr. Jamil Cotman, Mr. Darren Laws, for your ongoing. I mean, they didn't just start doing programs for children in our communities, and they support so many other things too. You know, they didn't just start this. They've been in this for a number of years. So I want to thank you for your continued support of our Chester community. And people are always saying, oh, there's nothing for my child to do, but that's not true. There are plenty of people here in the community that are sponsoring programs for our children here in Chester. We have a nice pool down at Memorial Park. We have other churches that are sponsoring events. We have a Youth Explosion Weekend that's being sponsored by Cornerstone Ministries. And that's going to be August 25th, 26th, and 27th. So, you know, they're going to have book bag giveaways on Saturday. And I mean, the book bags are nice. And we have a lot of nice items in those book bags. So you're invited August 25th, 26th, and 27th to their Youth Explosion. I'm sorry I only have one flyer here. And then also, Miss Dana Bowser. We talk all the time. That's my new best friend. And she's from the Chester Upland School District and has been communicating with me on behalf of the Latino community, because I want to make sure that we're all inclusive, that we are including those citizens that may have a barrier because it's of a language. You know, I don't speak Spanish. You know, I don't think any of us here, I don't know. But there's a language barrier, and those Latino residents would love to attend council meetings and what have you, but they can't because they don't understand what we're saying. So we did pass the bill today that will include a bilingual code enforcer and a bilingual, I believe, clerk or something like that, Councilman Roots, in your department. So we are working on bridging the gap, okay? And then I want to thank, it's last but certainly not least, I would like to thank the Stormwater Authority and its staff for your support of the Public Works Department last week when we were preparing for the infamous soccer game last Tuesday. And I mean, they worked on 291. I want to thank Rodney Robertson and Mark Alexander for spearheading and our staff, getting our staff together. And they did an excellent job in cleaning up the route of 291. And certainly Stormwater Authority helped us with the street cleaning and what have you. And like Dr. Strand said, we're partners. We work together. If they need us, then, you know, we're there for them. And if we need them, they're there for us, you know. So, and that's all I'd like to say. Thank you, for community, for coming out, being involved, stay involved. And again, you know, I'm just very concerned about any company coming in here and being an environmental threat to our community members. We all live here and we all want to be safe. But like the mayor said, we do have to listen to the information, as you should. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Just a few brief things. Number one, I want you all to keep in prayer Chester's very own ambassador, Mr. Robert Thompson. Robert is a mainstay here at City Hall. He was brutally assaulted, and he is now in hospital rehab. So keep him in prayer. Keep his family in prayer. Robert, everybody knows Robert. Well, let me say this: Robert knows everybody. So keep Rob in prayer, and we are praying for a speedy recovery. And we're also praying that justice will be served on his behalf. I want to share with you, full transparency, I was hoping that he would stay, but he left. The receiver Dowry. Full transparency, on August 18th, myself and council received an email from Mr. Dowry, and it reads in this manner. It says, Mayor and Council, please remove resolution number 1 and 2 from the August 21st City Council agenda. Regarding Resolution 1, a cost estimate of the fees has not been provided. This is the stormwater resolution. I'm also confused as to why the City Council would want to waive fees the city would receive given the $9 million grant associated with this project. Further, it is my understanding that there are several environmental site remediation concerns that need to be addressed before the stormwater project can be pursued in Memorial Park. Has the environmental testing been completed, and if so, have the results been shared with the city? Regarding resolution number 2, the matter of Buchanan separately representing a number of elected officials in the federal bankruptcy proceeding was previously addressed. There will be no such allocation at this time nor in any future period. However, we look forward to the administration withdrawing the eligibility objection, which is doing nothing but wasting time and money that the city does not have, and working with us to develop a plan of adjustment. My response to Mr. Dowry on that same day was, good evening, Mr. Dowry. This administration has done nothing but try and work with you and your team. However, we're continuously blocked from moving any significant projects forward by you and your team. The Memorial Park flooding has been occurring long before your 3+ years here in the city. As for the legal representation for some, as you say, of the council members, it amazes me how the city can be made to pay for everyone else's legal fees, but not our own. And I'll touch on all that. I'll touch on every last bit of that, because I'm going to read something, but let me touch on it real quickly right now. Our lawyers have come forth, and we have, don't go nowhere, Reverend Strand, I'm ready to talk about you a little bit. I don't want to talk behind your back. Okay. So we have, we challenged some things, and we won on some things. You win some, you lose some. And we're paying everybody else lawyers for legal fees that are incurred, but we can't seem to find the money to pay for the legal fees for mayor and council. That's not right. That's just vindictive. I'm going to say what it is. It's vindictive. And we're going to continue to push to get those legal fees done. And I'll share with you in a little bit what some other fees are. As far as the stormwater, we have done, the engineer has done some environmental testing and what have you, and completed it. Why would you ask for all this environmental stuff? Now watch this. Our kids play football down there, Memorial Park, every day. Our kids swing on swings in Memorial Park every day. People go to the only public library we have in the city every day. They go to the Martin Luther King bust every day. They play tennis in Memorial Park, softball in Memorial Park every day. They go to the swimming pool every day. They have picnics and family barbecues every day. But now we need environmental testing. If the environmental was, if it was environmental concern, why didn't we have that concern about 50 years ago? Now that we have finally, and folks, if you want to know why I asked that the fees be waived, it's very simple. It's a problem, a flooding problem that occurs every hard rain. Just go down there and watch it. Every hard rain, it occurs. And it's a mess. And now we have an opportunity to fix it. Now we'll probably end up in court again. You're going to hear it again. You're going to take us to court because I said, no, we want to move forward because we want to fix the problem. We live here. I live here. I don't live in York. I live in Chester.
And they got parking meters too.
And if this is going to not only enhance and beautify the community, the park, and also make it safer, then why don't we do the project? So I've been saying that, and I continue to say that. It's almost as if folks will tell us what we need, and we don't know what we need. And so I kind of take offense to that. I think I see some folks from the late Apostle Joyce Scott's church. I wasn't here at the last meeting. And at the last meeting, I know the question came up as to the renaming of the bridge. I want to give you a letter that I sent to, and I'm going to resend it, that I sent to county council. See, sometimes people like to play political games. And because I'm sitting in this seat right now, they probably more than likely like to hold off until I'm no longer in this seat. But it's not about me. It's about an awesome woman who did awesome work in this city. And so I'm going to share with you that letter, and I'll call them again. Matter of fact, I sat in the office and called them, and Chairwoman Dr. Taylor, I have yet to receive a response concerning that very same naming the bridge, the Apostle Joyce Scott Memorial Bridge. And so we're gonna do it, whether I'm here or not. It's gonna get done. That's the most important thing. If we don't identify our heroes and our sheroes, No one else will. So I wanted to share that with you. And let me just share this, and I'll be out your way. I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I had everything here. And once again, I was hoping that the receiver would have stayed. Some folks heard some of this last time, but it's a lot more people here, and I want you to hear this. As many of you already know, the city has been in receivership for the past 3 years. Since the time of receivership, we have been placed in bankruptcy by the receiver, and we were even threatened with disincorporation, the dissolvement of our city status. All of this prior to primary election. Fast forward, we now have provided our union employees with a 3% raise, while also beginning the process of hiring new employees to fill new positions and bringing in new employees with significant raises to bolster up our staff here at City Hall, which I support. However, it's amazing what can happen after just a few short months in a recent primary election. Let's start with the 3% pay raises for our unionized employees. Just last month, I was given an interim contract to sign, interim contract. That's something that we've never done here in the history of Chester, not that I know of. An interim contract to sign. This contract was apparently negotiated by the receiver and his lawyers as well as the FOP chairman. After reading the interim contract agreement, it was clear to me that I could not sign such a contract without committing fraud. Also, I was concerned because the FOP chairman had signed the agreement back in March of this year, March in 2023, 4 months prior to me being given the contract to sign. And let me be clear, I was never involved in the contract negotiations. As a matter of fact, I was barred by the receiver from participating in the negotiations. But now I am asked to sign off as mayor on this very same contract. By doing so, I would have committed an act of fraud. I was not involved in the negotiations. Didn't know when it was happening, what was happening, but I was asked to sign the contract. After a few days, I received not one, but 3 interim contracts, all signed by the respective union leaders of the police, fire, and Teamsters departments. All were also in March of 23 by those union representatives. However, the receiver's signature, as well as the chief of staff, was placed on the contracts in July of 23, 4 months later. I don't know who does that. I don't know who signs a contract in March, and the contract is already rolling, and then you bring it to somebody in July and tell them they have to sign off on it. Chief of Staff was placed on the contract in July of 23. I asked Chief of Staff Leitner, did he participate in the contract negotiations? And he said no, but he was instructed to sign the contracts by the receiver. Chief Leitner receives a salary from the city, not the receiver. And this is not a knock on Chief Leitner. He was just following instructions. Once again, these contracts were signed by the receiver and the Chief Leitner 4 months after the union had signed them, and the unions, them and they, the unions, were already receiving 3% pay increases prior to the primary election without full transparency. And they all, you know how people always talk about transparency. Got to be above board, transparency. The second puzzling and somewhat dishonest occurrence was the over $1.5 million in legal fees that the city, the bankrupt city, has to foot the bill for. There was the formation of a retirement board who obtained legal consultation at the city's expense. None of the council members were made aware of this board, and the expense and the expense until we received an email from the receiver on July 24th, 2023, stating the names of the attorneys and their firms. In other words, zero transparency on behalf of the receiver and his team. The final straw was the willingness of the receiver and his team to pay for the list of new positions, employees, and hefty pay raises that come along with those positions. I was unaware that we as a city had finally hit the lottery. Money for lawyers, money for new employees, and money to raise the salary of our unionized employees even when they don't have a contract. All of this after the threat of disincorporation. Now, yesterday, in the MFRAC meeting, they finally brought up disincorporation. Oh, no, I meant it. Mr. Kapoor said, I was talking about 2025.
No.
Well, you didn't hear any more about disincorporation, not one word, not one word, not one word after the primary election. Not one word about disincorporation. But now we got money. Bam, just like that. Money just fell off the tree, right into the lap of Chester. Lies, no transparency, deception, fear, all in an effort to win a primary. Wow. Wow. The receiver and his team were brought here to help us with our finances, not to interfere in our elections. But they did. That's exactly what they did. Now I'm simply waiting for them to explain this newfound money. Today, we as a community don't know. And it seems as some folks might be fearful. Don't know. This mayor on paper makes $75,000, and then they want to break it down to 60. But guess what? We as a community, we don't know the salary of the receiver. Nobody knows. Isn't that something? Nobody knows what VJ Kapoor makes. They know what you guys make. Nobody knows. We don't even know who's on his team, how many people he has on his team. We don't know his budget. We don't know their salaries. Nobody says anything while others come in here and take, and then they take care of themselves. Yesterday, he talked about bankruptcy. And then it didn't shoot over my head. And he said, bankruptcy, usually take about 10 years. 10 years. Are they planning to be here for 10 years? Are they planning to be here for 10 years? Nobody asked those questions. But when I ask those questions, oh, you're not working with the receiver. No, I'm asking a question. You said it, your chief of staff said it, Mr. Kapoor. 10 years. I wonder what kind of money, if the governor simply gave this community that money that he's going to give to support them for the next possible 10 years. But nobody seems that. Lies, deceptions, fear, and no transparency. Unfortunately, many of the Chester residents ate the garbage. They ate the garbage the receiver, Mr. Kapoor, were feeding them. And now we have to deal with the real financial consequences. Now we have to deal with it. I didn't interrupt y'all. I listened to everybody. I didn't interrupt you. I'm a resident too. I didn't interrupt you. I listened. Now we have to deal with the real financial consequences that come with that garbage. I want to see what's going to happen with our taxes. How are we going to pay for these folks? Where this money coming from? How are we going to pay to relocate people? Because what they've done They've gotten rid of Chester residents in many instances. And now they're going to bring in other folk. And you got to pay for a relocation.
Yes.
Who's going to do that? They won't bring back our employees that were laid off. The city is also on the hook to pay for legal fees for the bankruptcy lawyers for the receiver in over $500,000. We paying out an awful lot of money, y'all. Awful lot of money to be bankrupt, to be on the verge of disincorporation. And yes, it was garbage. And unfortunately, some folks ate it. Have a great day.